Bala, the name once thundered from the high places, now reduced to a tarnish of fire, tiny collapse of ashes and memory, holding a symbol that was never what it seemed. The captivated representation, the ritual of sacrifice, the hunger of blood that dressed itself in the robe of power, all of it gone, no longer existing, no longer demanding, no longer worshipped by the fearful and also from the frail. The days are done, the dust of dawn has risen, the thrones of men are shaken from within. This is a far worse than when the walls came down. Babylon time machine will not reverse again. A cleansing must be formed into position. Spiritual warfare sharpened like a blade. For we have bowed to gods and goddesses, to deities our own two hands made. The guts of Bala sat high upon the pyramid, a false prophet depending and demanding blood and gold. But the watchman saw his last and only son, a forgotten son, to make the story told. No more sacrifice, the heavens had thundered. No more worship. Pay close attention to the lifeless stone. But we were walking and running and building and warring, too deaf to hear that we were not alone. The dollars collapsed like the walls of Jericho. The black clouds, symbols where the market stood. The book of Revelation turns into pages, and the earth drank down the weeping and the blood. We pattered back into Jeremiah's sorrow, where a king was warned not once but twice. He swore and set the subject into darkness and paid the price for disobeying twice. The prophet wrote, I saw it in a portal, flashback, came like Jacob on the ground, climbing ladders, wrestling with angel, not knowing if the blessing will be found. The sharp eyes saw a pale-faced man before me. Iniquity was eating at his soul. The other one, I know, not dead or living, is the ending of the final take of its toll. I tried to count to 10 to stop spinning. I counted forward, backwards through the fair. And when I opened wide by waiting eyes, the spectacle of the sky became too clear. No fire but rocket ships and missiles, the booming and the collapsing in the air. Children running and mothers screaming, fathers frozen. Hitchmen of October, deep despair. The enactment of the whole oil and all the war crimes. They claim that this was a battle. This is not it. But the battle was not won in the first place. The war recycled season after hit. The season of the 47th plane, the time of the 40th, of the 47th executive chief, where food is barely cheap and water recessions. And the curfew locks the living and the longing and the grief. Some took the market of beasts in silence, and some stood and waited till the sky break. I remember saying that the rapture, I can feel it, the sensation burning for heaven's sake. I see the torchlight burning in my head. No, I am not crazy. Through thy whisper, a child of 8 on the side of the east, speaking prophecy through channels and through tweets. Like Jeremiah weeping in his youth, nobody believed the weeping prophet, always in captivity, always watching, trying to tell the word again and again. The watchman speaks into the ears of the prophet, but no one dares to listen till they see. How many men must be bowed before they realize? The numbers are coming. Can you count them with me? Men and women hide behind their leotards, and then they are not telling who the numbers that they know. But the numbers are marching and counting and climbing. The reckoning is closer than the show. They fight for things that never were their own. And they sympathize with strangers, which is actually where we have to sympathize with soldiers in the field. Deep down inside, they live in shifting fear because this is the gear that has been revealed. Men don't care. Now they have rebelled and tested. Back in the time of 9/11's pain, and boast and bragging and say, I thank God I was home to hold my child and my children once again. But how many over that 4,000 could not even go home, could not even embrace, could not even remember or even return? And meanwhile, the collectors count their dollars, trade their stocks, and watch their portfolios burn. They beg about the airplanes and they brag about the missiles and the weapons that they created with their hands. But all the material things and all of the tangibles can never, ever cross the spirit land. Every one of them admitted in the twilight that I don't know, I am not good enough for the heaven. At least he told the truth before the closing. At least his lips confessed of what was lingered, which is somewhere partial close to heaven. The gut of the Bala now lies upon an altar, not to give the history lesson, no, but we saw how it sat on top of a pyramid. False prophecy of dignities brought low, reducing tarnish of fire, a tiny capsule holding only dust, the symbol that once captivated the nation, now broken, burned, and turned into dust and rust. The rituals of sacrifice have ended. The power that has held no longer stands. The blood and flows of the altar from children has been washed away, kneaded on that hand. He came and told us that there was no more sacrifice and no more burning and no more bleeding and no more loss. But nobody listened. They were waking and walking and then running and then building their own cross. Now so that the flood must come to filter, just like Joad, Noah brought the ark of old. When things have to be washed away and forever, with Joad when he was swallowed in the belly of the whale, some innocence had to be brought and sold. But when Noah, the ark is not the wood and pitch his time, he built from prayer and position it. For those who stand and wait and watch the listening, and those who heard the watchman's warning sing, this is the end, our final countdown. The days of gods and goddesses are over. The pyramid has crumbled into sand. The dynasties that brought themselves into ashes are falling and kneeling and pierced right directly in that hand. So let the dust dawn fall wherever it may. Let the recycle season wash the shore. Innocence will rust and will rise upon the water, and the old gods rise no more. The guts of the Bala has spoken in last haunted hunger of the pale-faced man, swallowed by the grave. The children prophet weeps no more in corners. The ones who listen, now those who have saved. This is the collapsing of the dynasty, the elimination of false divine. The torchlight burn inside the heads of the dreamers, and the new wine waits for the new wine. And come, stand and wait, the cleansing is upon. Come feel the sensation in your bones. The rapture is not distant, it's breathing, it's the dust dawn in the altar stones. The Bala is fallen, the collapse is cold, the fire has tarnished, and the story is told. Amen.